Hello everybody, welcome to the Bronies UK YouTube channel. I'm John, or Nosy, back again for a little video chat. So, even though we've been talking a lot about Gen 5, I want to kind of come back to the whole essence of the Gen 4 era, if you will. But of course I'm not going into the pony side of it, I'm going into more of the Equestria Girl side with this video. Now, I have spoken about Equestria Girls in the past. I think I've done a top 10 of my favourite Equestria Girl songs. I have spoken about some of the characters as well in earlier videos on the channel. But I've not done a dedicated video, I don't think, going into a little bit more detail of my thoughts on the Equestria Girl idea. Equestria Girls was a very elusive thing when it first started. A lot of fans that started watching FIM literally right as season 1 was airing, which was like back in 2010, which was obviously the pony side, Friendship is Magic. A lot of people, those people that were there right from the beginning, and probably when it was when the first Equestria Girls film was announced, probably during, because obviously the way the Equestria Girl films work, they are actually based in between, kind of like in between seasons. So when you see in each of the feature-length films, it is actually in between either a season break or an end of season finale, and it's kind of in between. It's the set in between those kind of where there's a bit of a lull in the story, or something has just happened, like a big bad has just been defeated, or something in the story's changed, like the whole thing where Twilight becoming an alicorn, obviously gaining her wings and everything, and all that kind of thing. So it kind of all kind of centres around the changes in the story for Twilight. So yeah, so when this was first announced, it didn't go down too well originally with some people in the fan base, okay? And obviously I didn't start enjoying and get involved and watching Friendship is Magic until when roughly season 3 was finishing airing in America and Canada. So I think season 3 had just stopped, and obviously they just picked up for a 4th season. I think I started watching around about 2013-14 bracket, is when I started watching the show. And so I remember the first so many seasons were available on Netflix at the time. And so I watched a couple of episodes. I watched one episode of FIM on normal TV, and I believe it was I think it was a season 3 episode, and it was the episode where Spike obviously Spike has a crush on Rarity, so that is like not really surprising, because obviously that's very apparent as the story goes on, but so he has a crush on her, and he thinks it's a good idea to make a cake for Rarity with load of gems. I actually thought it was quite cute, quite funny, quite innocent, and that is basically like trying to make this cake for her, and he just keeps eating the gems, because that's, as a dragon, they eat gems. And I thought, you know what, I like it. So from then on, I got into it. And then I started doing research on it after that. I thought, right, okay, I need to find season 1. I found season 1, and I noticed that it was on Netflix as well. So then I started watching it on Netflix. But then I noticed on Netflix, there was, I think at the time, there was 2 films up. And those 2 films, which was the Equestria Girl films, which was the first one and Rainbow Rocks. And then me and my mate Sam, once we got into it and we noticed that we both enjoyed it as well, my other co-host on the channel, we then decided to kind of follow the whole idea of the final 2, which was obviously the final 2 Equestria Girl films. And from that point on. So when I found out there was an Equestria Girl film, I was like, oh no. And a lot of fans felt the same way, because everyone that was really connected to the pony characters and that whole Equestria world. And then when Hasbro went ahead and said, right, okay, we're going to go ahead and make these human versions of these characters, and kind of everyone's just went, oh no, okay, it's Hasbro again. Hasbro are just raking in the money. Let's just mess around with the characters that we love so much and make them human. And a lot of people thought it was just a very cheap way of doing it. Some people still believe that. There is still a little bit of a divide between the fans of the My Little Pony thing. Some people do not like the Equestria Girl idea, and some love it. So, personally, I'm one of these people that like to just give something a chance. I like to give something a chance. If I like it, I like it. If I don't like it, I don't like it. It's one of those things. So I went ahead and give the first Equestria Girl film a chance, and I thought it was okay. It could have been a hell of a lot worse than it was. It was just an innocent film. Canon, obviously, it was all canon with the pony side, which was a surprise to me. I didn't realise it would be. And it was kind of interesting of how they incorporated the whole, like the whole Sunset Shimmer, bringing her into it. It was a new character that was originally obviously a student of Celestius before Twilight. And she was obviously a very gifted magic user, just like Twilight was. Excuse me. And so basically, I really I got quite intrigued by it. I liked the idea of Sunset Shimmer, even though in the first one she was bad. And so basically it was kind of like a mirror effect with Sunset and Twilight, where she was basically like, she was basically kind of like, what would happen if Twilight went down a bad route and ended up using her magic for bad rather than good. And it's kind of like a mirror effect kind of thing with those two characters at first. So I watched the first Equestria Girl film, and I was like, yeah, it's okay. It's alright. It's okay. Obviously, there's only one song in it that we all know that I do like, which is the Cafeteria song. Help Twilight get the crown or something like that, whatever the actual song title is. That was a good song. It was, catchy beat, kind of like a dance poppy kind of thing. It's not really my type of music. I like rock music, and I'm a fan of rock and metal music. I like most music, to be honest. I'm not massively picky, but I don't like chart music that much, like what's in the charts at the moment. But I like rock, metal, I like a bit of jazz, I like a bit of blues, I like a little bit of all sorts, really. And I just took it for what it was. I enjoyed the first one, and I thought, okay, it's better than I thought it would be, I think a lot of people that kind of started to change their opinion on Equestria Girls thought with watching the first one, thought it's not as bad as it is, but they are keeping it canon, which is kind of interesting. I watched the second one, which was Rainbow Rocks, and Rainbow Rocks is my all-time favourite Equestria Girl film. Because again, it goes into a much rockier kind of more of a pop rocky kind of music style, and obviously with the because of the events of the first Equestria Girl film, Sunset Shimmer, obviously, like I said, she was evil, and then obviously she was defeated, kind of in a similar kind of fashion to as I would back in Equestria. Kind of like the whole, elements of harmony kind of thing, purifying her soul or whatever, her magic, and making her a good person again. So then it kind of was interesting to see in Rainbow Rocks that this was the first film seeing her as her natural self before she became corrupted. And at first, obviously, a lot of people didn't really think much of her Sunset Shimmer, but her development has been incredible over the whole Equestria Girl thing for me. She's she started out as like I said, a mirror opposite of Twilight in a way, but then she become her own character by the end of it. By the with all of that we've seen past the films and up to now, she's had some great development, and really has become her own character. The songs that she has are fantastic as well, very meaningful songs. And so yeah, so Rainbow Rocks. I absolutely adore that film. It's just everything about it, everything I love about Friendship is Magic. The element in there is there for that film. The music is great. I love the Dazzlings. I love them. I love their songs are my favourites, to be honest. I don't mind the Rain Boom songs, but the Dazzlings are more my kind of what I like in music. Um, but yeah, so I really do like that film. I love the music, I love the soundtrack, and I also love the characters, and seeing the newly kind of the good version of Sunset kind of holding her own against the Dazzlings and trying to come to terms with what she did in the first film and trying to make friends. And that's what was interesting about that struggle that she was going through personally, which I kind of had a kind of a thing with, because I recognise that is that it's very hard sometimes if you make mistakes. It's sometimes hard to kind of put that behind you, kind of put your past behind you, and you just simply want to move forward. But there's always all these obstacles that you have to try and come to terms with, and it's kind of a big life lesson that for everybody, and it's kind of a good like little kind of like a message there for people that were watching at the time. So obviously, I really did like what they did with Rainbow Rocks, and then obviously this the third one, which is Friendship Games. Now, Friendship Games, I love the music again for this film. It's kind of still got a bit of the essence of the rocky side to it, but it's kind of mixed with a bit more poppy songs and dance music. I actually kind of like Friendship Games. I didn't think I would, because I personally I like sport. So I watched the third one, Friendship Games. I thought it was interesting, kind of like finally bringing in a rival school for the first time, and obviously it brings in the human version of Twilight, so the human opposite of the pony Twilight. So she then obviously is kind of brought into it to kind of. It's what's interesting is that they've obviously phased out the pony for Twilight now. It's still canon to Friendship is Magic. But what I find is interesting about the latter two films is that they completely start to phase her out to the point where she's no longer even in it. She is mentioned, but she's not in it physically. So there's no need for her. They've already got a version of Twilight, which is the human one, who was introduced in Friendship Games. And you find out that she's got a puppy who is obviously the alternate version of Spike. And then obviously Twilight, she is a scientist. Instead of using magic as she would back in Equestria, basically she is like a scientist in a way. She's kind of like making stuff and doing experiments. And she's at the rival school, and that's featured in the third film. And then obviously as the film goes on, they do the whole game tournament thing between the two schools, and basically it by the end it kind of brings the whole main characters together again, but all the human versions. So it makes them, for the first time, makes them their own thing. It makes them their own thing. For the first time since it started, their own little franchise that's separate. That finally becomes separate to Pony's had. But yeah, I quite like Friendship Games. I think Friendship Games is like my second favourite to Rainbow Rocks. Rainbow Rocks is my first, and Rainbow Rocks is my first, and I absolutely love. I really do like. I quite enjoy friendship games because I like the music. I like the soundtrack. I like the where they finally bring in, finally kind of like answer the question that fans of the Equestria Girl stuff had, which is where's the human version of Twilight? So obviously it answers that question with that film. And then we come to the latter film, the fourth one, which is kind of seen as the worst of the four by some fans, which is Legend of Everfree. And personally, I will agree it's not my favourite. It would probably kind of. I still enjoy it for what it is. There's some good songs among that film. There's some really good songs. There's a really good song for Sunset Shimmer that I absolutely love. So I absolutely love that song. And I also like Twilight's song as well. So yeah, I like some of the songs in that, and I also like the opening song as well, which it feels like a proper folk, like a folk camping song, because that's what they're doing. They're going camping. So I love that the kind of their opening song is very upbeat, campy, no, kind of like a camping kind of, sat around the campfire kind of thing. I really like that song, the opening song. I personally really like it. But yeah, So yeah, with what happens with in the fourth film is it's kind of like Twilight is obviously I actually skipped a point from the third film. Basically, at the end, Twilight, the human version of Twilight, she's made this like amulet thing that's sucking out the magical energy out of Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, and all them lot, and it basically gets to the point where it gets too hard. And there's the Puss Puss. Hello, Puss Puss. It's getting too hard for it to contain it. And basically, the head mistress of the rival school basically says to her to release the magic and everything. And then basically that happens, and then she gets engulfed and she gets corrupted by the evil magic, equestrian magic, and she becomes Nightmare Twilight. Legend of Everfree piggybacks onto what happened there, and Twilight is still very insecure. She's now a pupil at Canterlot High, so she transferred from the rival school to Canterlot to be with her friends. And so basically, in Legend of Everfree, it's basically they're all going on camping trip with school, and basically they're going to this like log cabin thing in the woods. It's kind of interesting because obviously, like I said, it piggybacks onto what happens with Twilight when she turns into Midnight Twilight or whatever it is, Evil Twilight. Which was kind of interesting to see an evil version of Twilight, actually. I kind of liked it. But yeah, obviously it was exactly the same process of what happened to Sunset. So yeah, she's basically kind of like having nightmares, night terrors, if you will. And it's kind of like her basically like as if Midnight Twilight could make a return. And she was terrified of using her magic because she didn't want that to happen again. She didn't want to hurt anybody. And so basically the whole film is her friends trying to be there for Twilight after the events of what happened in the third film. And then obviously they have the threat, which is kind of the whole Legend of Everfree, which is this legend of this monster, magical monster that lives in the woods and kind of comes out and tries to attack or whatever, or the campers, and it's kind of been like a curse of the Everfree camping area, and basically that is basically comes out to be kind of true. He found out that it's obviously just a corrupted camp worker, one of them that runs the camp, and basically her brother then kind of tries to help bring her back to being good again, and that's basically what it is. Then Twilight kind of conquers her fears and transforms for the first time properly using her element, magic element, and becomes a proper member of the main six. So basically, to finish off, this video's gone on longer than I actually expected it to be. basically, just quickly my thoughts on them. So the first one, I do like. I find it's an interesting introduction to the ponies. Sorry, from pony to human. It surprised me with kind of it being canon with Finn, because there is a slight clip at the beginning where you're back in Ponyville, and then obviously she has to Twilight's crown is stolen by Sunset, and then basically she goes through a portal and it comes into the human side, and that's how it all starts. And so I kind of like the idea that it's still canon with Friendship is Magic, and the first two. I think the first two or three films is actually kind of connected in between the first 4 seasons, I believe. Or the first 2 or 3 seasons. So yeah, which I kind of find is kind of interesting. But then obviously, as we move on, Rainbow Rocks, I absolutely adore that film. That is my number one favourite. I love the music, I love the setting, I love Sunset Shimmer. She really comes into her own in that film, and the music for her is fantastic as well. And then obviously, then you come into Friendship Games, which is my second favourite because I just absolutely love the music in that as well. And it's just kind of a fun film. And then obviously the latter one, the fourth one, which is my least favourite, but yeah, I still enjoy it. I enjoy all of them. I'm not negative on any of them whatsoever. I take them for what they are. But end of the day, the fourth one, I can understand why they never continued them past Legend of Everfree, because there was plans to do a fifth one. But those plans seem to have kind of disappeared. There's no more news about a fifth film or a fifth and final film. But then what they did is they decided to go into the YouTube, the whole YouTube miniseries, web series. So there's apparently, I think there's currently 3 seasons of that, and also there's a couple of feature-length specials as well that coincide with all that. And obviously a lot of music videos and such for the characters. So yeah, but yeah, so they decided to do specials instead of doing that full feature hour and a bit movie. But yeah, so my thoughts on Equestria Girls as a whole, I actually really enjoy Equestria Girls. At first, like every other fan that was connected to the pony side of it, the whole Equestria side of it, I can understand at the beginning it was a little bit of like, oh no, this is just like a cash grab from Hasbro, which it kind of was. It was just it was an attempt to kind of launch a new toy series, really. But no, it was kind of like, yeah, okay. And then I kind of give it a chance. I actually kind of really enjoyed it, and I like all of them. But I do have 2 special favourites, which I've already mentioned about. So that's my thoughts on Equestria Girls as a whole. Thank you very much for watching. Please let me know what you think in the comments, what your thoughts are on Equestria Girls. Whether you like it, what's your favourite songs, who's your favourite character from the pony side, from the human side, sorry. So let me know all down there. And again, thank you for your support. Thank you for your comments and everything on the channel lately. Stay awesome, stay safe, and we'll be back very soon with more videos. Bye-bye.